Hello and welcome to the agenda. I am Ajay Kaul. In this program today we will talk about multi-nation talks to decide the future of conflict-ridden Afghanistan, of which India will be a part. Afghanistan is standing at a critical phase of history. The US is considering the complete withdrawal of its troops from Afghanistan by May 1 and is pushing President Ashraf Ghani to include extremist group Taliban in the government. India, which has huge stakes in Afghanistan, will now be a direct part of multi-nation talks to decide the future of conflict-ridden country. In the agenda today, we will review such developments to understand the implications. We have with us retired diplomat Ambassador Vishnu Prakash and retired Major General Sanjay Soy. But before we start our conversation, have a look at this small report.
Unveiling its mission for Afghanistan, the Joe Biden administration of the US has made a number of proposals, which includes 6-nation UN-led talks to decide the future of conflict-ridden country. As per the proposal, the countries to be involved in the talks are US, Russia, India, Pakistan, China and Iran, which will discuss a unified approach for supporting peace in Afghanistan. The vision has been unveiled in a letter from US Secretary of State Antony Blinken to Afghan President Ashraf Ghani. The letter asked Ghani to have speed-up talks with Taliban for a roadmap to a new inclusive government and the terms of a permanent and comprehensive ceasefire. This has angered the Afghan government, which has said that it would not accept illegitimate demands and a coercive peace. The Afghan government maintains that if the Taliban wants to rule, it should participate in elections and try its luck through an electoral process. In his letter, Blinken has also said the Biden administration is keeping all options open, including the complete withdrawal of its troops from Afghanistan by May 1, as mandated in agreements signed between the Trump administration and Taliban on 29 February last year. The Biden administration, which took over on 20 January this year, had initially said that it was viewing that agreement especially to check whether Taliban had cut violence as per its commitment in the agreement. India should be happy to be a direct part of multi-nation talks to decide about Afghanistan, since it has been kept out of the process so far at the behest of Pakistan. Even this time, Russia, an old ally of India, apparently wants India to be omitted from the process at the behest of Pakistan, but the US is pushing for India's inclusion. However, there will be concerns regarding America's approach and withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan. If the US actually withdraws all its troops, it will leave a vacuum in Afghanistan, which the Taliban will try to exploit to capture power in Kabul. Taliban's mentor Pakistan will definitely provide all support as part of its game plan to turn Afghanistan into a buffer zone once again. So clearly, the coming days and weeks are going to be crucial. Bureau Report.
Our guest, Ambassador Vishnu Prakash, Major General Sanjay Soy. Ambassador Vishnu Prakash, as we see that the latest developments where Afghanistan, as we see, is at a very critical juncture, and now India is also a part of the multi-nation talks thanks to the US. So how do you see this development?
Well, Afghanistan is a very proud nation, a very brave nation, but circumstances have been such that they have literally lurched from one crisis to another for the past so many decades. And the US has more or less made its intention very clear. Their troops are down to 2,500. And even that, they say that, all options are on the table. After the 1st of May, the indications are more than clear for anyone to see that they are in no mood or don't have an appetite to continue. Taliban is smelling victory because they can see that there is very little stopping them from furthering their agenda. So it is indeed a difficult situation, and the only way the situation can be stabilized, because Taliban is increasingly gaining territory and influence, if there is a massive force of the international force supplementing or supporting the Afghan effort to beat back the Taliban, but I don't think that is going to happen.
So is it like the US is now, America is now desperate to get out and somehow hand over something to Taliban? Because as we see the letter written by Antony Blinken, he says that Afghan government should have an inclusive government, which is like Taliban should be part of the government. And Afghan government is very angry at it.
Well, yes, they are concerned, and so are all right-minded people, because we know what Taliban stands for. We are still maintaining that the gains of the last 20 years should be preserved. The process should be done, Afghan, so on and so forth. But I'm afraid these words generally ring hollow, because the U.S. Finds that the people are tired. They have been at it for 20 years. I'm not defending anybody's action, but I'm just stating the facts as they are. And the U.S. is in no mood to continue. Yes, I also have a sense that there will be some kind of an arrangement which may hold for a few days, weeks, months, may not hold. But
Right.
The likelihood of the U.S. continuing is very remote now.
Right. We have Major General Soy with us. Major General, if I ask you, as you heard Ambassador Vishnu Prakash saying that we know what Taliban stands for, and we all know who is backing or whose proxy Taliban is. So in the fatigue, that US has suffered. So do we see a situation where Taliban becomes part of the government, and what could be the implications for India?
In fact, this has been very situation which has not been very good for India as well as the Afghanistan government. Because when the talks with the Taliban were on, the Afghan government was not part of the whole thing. In fact, if you see this, India's stand has always been the governance by the Afghanistan and elected Afghan government only. If the way Americans are desperate to withdraw from Afghanistan, and as Ambassador Rishi has brought out that by May they would be out, and it is there in the news. So the situation becomes quite tricky for India, because the Taliban will become more powerful, and which is against the interest of the Indians. India has got a lot of, India has provided tremendous support in terms of the infrastructure development, education, medical, and financial aid to the Afghan government, present Afghan government, and we have got excellent relations with them. And with this kind of thing, whether it is a mixed government with Taliban or only government of Afghanistan, or ultimately Taliban's takeover, because I am sure the way Taliban are going ahead, they are not going to stop at that. They are saying that we would be collaborating with the present Afghan government, but I have my doubts on that how much they will be able to hold on, they will be able to control. So India needs to protect its interests, and we need to stand by the present government and support it. And we need to take a stand with the US that ultimately it will be against the interests of the US if they withdraw from the Afghanistan fully.
But Taliban has stepped up. After the deal, last February deal with the US, they were supposed to reduce violence, but they have stepped up. In fact, recent months have seen much more stepped up violence by Taliban. So is that a military-wise they are putting pressure on US rather more than the Afghan government?
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. I have my doubt that if what US is saying is there could be a mixed government with the present Afghan government and Taliban, which I have my doubt that Taliban will ultimately agree to this, will adhere to this agreement for a long time, which I have my own doubt on this, because it is not going to last very long. Ultimately, as the Taliban become more and more powerful and the US withdraws from there, the survival of the present Afghan government becomes very tricky.
Right. Ambassador Prakash, I'll come to you. So, we have seen that when India becomes a part of the multi-nation dialogue. So we have been, I mean, we know that Pakistan has always opposed this and saying that we have no stakes. So Pakistan obviously must be unhappy over this because they want these proxies, the game to be, I mean, they win. What do you say?
Well, you have that is quite obvious. Pakistan makes no bones about it. Dislike for the Indian presence. We all know that what Pakistan wants is to create a strategic buffer and treat Afghanistan as its backwaters. That has been their aim. Now, and in that endeavor, they are supported by countries like China, which supports them. Maybe Turkey supports them because you remember a few years ago there was a conference in Turkey where India was not invited.
Right.
So that is a fact. But also there is a fact that India and Afghanistan, what role does India play? India plays a constructive role. India is a factor of peace. India has been giving developmental assistance. India has been providing military training and police training.
Capacity building.
And capacity building. Yeah. Capacity building also in a way that we are not prescriptive. We don't tell the Afghans what they want. From small development projects to major projects, basically the Afghan nation which undertakes the project. So that is our USP. And we certainly bring a healing touch to the sore spirits of Afghanistan. And the world recognizes, the free world recognizes India's contribution. But again, there's $1 million question. We do not have a border with Afghanistan. USA is ready to pull out. And the borders that is available are the countries that border Afghanistan are Pakistan and Iran. So let's see how it transpires.
And Uzbekistan also.
Unfortunately. Sorry?
Uzbekistan also?
No, sure. I'm talking of these two actors, which are the part of the...
no, because I'm maybe thinking that Uzbekistan should also have been included. Because they have also stakes.
Very much so. But let's see that, at the moment there are 6 countries which have been invited. There is talk of Turkey perhaps being invited and so on and so forth. But the prospects are not very positive. I have to be upfront about it.
Right.
There is a lot of concern, but if the US pulls out, then I think all bets are off.
It's free for all then. Okay, General Soy, I come to you about, you heard Ambassador Vishnu Prakash talking about if America were to leave, as they have said that they may, I mean all options are open, so they may leave Afghanistan by May 1. So it leaves the field open for Pakistan, I will say, because we know Taliban is just a proxy of Pakistan. So for it will be Pakistan's game open, I mean, to capture Kabul. What do you say?
Ajay, you are right that Taliban is being supported actively by Pakistan, and Pakistan has been into whether it is support of financial, arms ammunition, all kinds of support are being given by Pakistan to Taliban. Once this vacuum is created by withdrawal of US troops, which is a great vacuum because India does not have boots on ground. You can say our soldiers are not there. We have been instrumental in development activities, what Ambassador brought out, same thing I endorse that we have been into medical, training their army, training their police and development of infrastructure, medical schools, all kind of support India has been there. And local people, the local population as well as the government of Afghanistan is very, very friendly to India. The relations between India and Afghanistan are not new. We have been friends for generations. And now the Pakistan with the taking the religious angle into mind, with the support of Taliban, they will try their best to overthrow the government and put Taliban into power.
Right.
I think there has to be, though Iran may not like it, and Iran would not like it. So that is where probably we may consider thinking of using, our friend Iran is also our friend, and with the help of Uzbekistan, we may consider restoring the balance there so that the present government is able to perform and we may continue to provide them material as well as a training support to their army and police.
Right.
Ajay.
Yeah, General Sohi, as we talked about capacity building, we know that India has been provided, including in the defense sector, we have, with except the boots, we have been maybe providing the material and other things. So, is there more, as a military man, I am asking you, is there defense-wise, military-wise, we can help them, Afghan forces, I mean, particularly in, meeting the strategy-wise or otherwise, to take on Taliban?
Yes, that India has always been doing it, and India has provided all, whether it is the training, the Afghan officers and soldiers have been training in India, the police has been training in India, and in our training centers, they have been getting training. As well as strategy is concerned, yes, if need be, if the Afghan government wants it, I'm sure the Indian government would be too willing to provide that kind of support. And I'm sure the kind of training they have got from USA, the Afghan soldiers, as well as the Indian army, they should be able to, it is become a more or less professional army, and they should be able to take a stand. But the fact is that once the US withdraws, the whole dynamic changes. And I'm sure the US also does not want Afghanistan to become, to go into the Taliban hands. I'm surprised actually the way they are giving more or less it on a platter, which is quite surprising. So the America suffered a lot. That terrorist activities have been as bad as with America as in the past. So we need to think of that. They need to consider to keep supporting the Afghanistan government.
Yeah, you are right that Afghan forces have worked with the American forces, but American forces don't have that kind of experience like we Indians have. I mean, in dealing with active insurgency, whether it be Northeast or Kashmir or otherwise. So maybe we have more hands-on experience, which we can be shared with Afghan forces. What do you say?
Really, we have been doing it. Like I have personally trained a lot of Afghan officers and their men, and they are very, very tough, very, very professional, very fit, and they are very committed to as a soldier and as an army. I have a lot of regards for them. I mean, very physically, very fit, these soldiers. And we have trained them in counter-insurgency, the counter-terrorism operations. And I'm sure that's why I'm very, very confident that these soldiers are sort of, or officers are sort of a master trainers for them, and they are imparting training in their own country. And I'm very, very confident that they will be able to take a stand against Taliban. It looks, there are a lot of things, negative feelings, but I am sure that present government with the trained soldiers should be able to take a stand against Taliban. We need to continue to support with the material as well as the training part.
Okay, I want to take a diplomatic view from Ambassador Vishnu Prakash on this aspect. So what do you say? About that India giving more strategy, helping Afghan forces more strategy wise, except being, having the boots on the ground, but strategy wise expanding its role.
I don't know what you mean by that, but I think India is extending all possible support that India can, both as we discussed in terms of capacity building, police training, medical assistance, IT sector, education sector, gender, you name it. So India, after all, we are not the US, we have finite resources, and within our resources, I think we have gone out of the way, not as a favor to Afghanistan, but as a favor to ourselves, because we would very much like a peaceful parameter. And in Afghanistan, which is at peace with itself, is in India's interest. But then there are other players. Some have the financial muscle, some have the military muscle, some have the capability of creating mischief. So the disruptive elements also are as strong. And again, I would slightly disagree with the contention that the Afghan president was surprised at the letter. I don't think he was surprised. I think
no, I'm not saying he was surprised. They are angered, I said. They are angry.
Yeah, So, no, they may be angry, but I think the writing was on the wall. And let's face it, I mean, I have the greatest respect for the valorous Afghan people, the friendly Afghan people, but the Afghan leadership, and I'm talking of over 20 years, have also played politics. And it's not a question of pointing fingers, but seeing the writing on the wall. And the writing on the wall is not pretty.
Right. So what I was explaining, you said that about the strategy wise, like intelligence gathering or maybe taking on the assault, like we have been facing in Kashmir. So we know when there is an attack, we know how to counter it with minimal damage and all that. How to repel such attacks. So all those kinds of strategy wise, how we can help the capacity building of the defense forces of Afghanistan.
You see,
That is what
Ajay, there are two aspects to it. One, it is not going to be tom-tom. You know, nobody is going to tell us on our channel that is something that is happening. But remember, India has been providing intelligence to the Afghans, which at times it comes out in the media of imminent attacks. Not just Afghanistan, other neighbors. In April last year, 2019, I think, we had alerted the Sri Lankans.
Right.
So we are very much doing that. But the question is about the capacity. The ANA, the Afghan National Army, is underfunded, is undertrained, and there's a high rate of attrition. So this is on the one hand, and then on the other hand, it's a highly indoctrinated Taliban, which is there to wage jihad, and even if they have to get shahadat, they are willing to do so. So it is a difficult fight, and when people join it half-heartedly, then it becomes all the more difficult.
Right. So the situation is very critical, and we have to be watchful, and I think we alert. But we have a lot of concern. But the time of this program is over. Thank you for participating in this debate today.
Thank you.
Thanks. This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with another important topic tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.